Hi, my name is Phil Calvert. Thank you so much for joining me again for another edition of Advisor Lives, where we talk to both financial advisors and suppliers to financial advisors and people who can help financial advisors to grow and develop their businesses. Now, today is a really interesting recording for me. I'm delighted to welcome Michelle Haslam. We've known each other for a number of years, but in that time, Michelle has kind of changed her career from being a financial advisor into running the BizTalk Academy. Am I right in that, Michelle?
Yes. Yep, that's what it's called. Thank you for having me, Phil.
We're really excited to have you here. We're going to talk about TikTok today, and I know already there'll be advisors listening to this who'll be just rolling their eyes and saying, no, another shiny new thing. My kids use TikTok. It's just not for me. I just know that for a fact because I already see that in our Facebook group. Shiny new thing. How on earth can TikTok have any relevance to financial advice businesses at all? So I just want to get under the skin of that. It reminds me though a bit, I was speaking at a conference in 2007. I think it could have been a PFS event, something like that. There were 500 or 600 financial advisors in the audience. And I was talking about social media. And at the time, social media was, it was more social networking back then. You'd got Academy, you've got LinkedIn. Facebook was starting to get going, and then this thing called Twitter comes along in 2006, I think it was. And I remember, and I was kind of studying all these shiny new things that were appearing all the time, and trying to see, well, how could advisors use them in their businesses? Because traditionally, financial advisors, they attract their new clients through referrals, introductions, and back then it was, it's pretty old school stuff. Leaflet drops, big on seminars and workshops, networking events, trade shows, that kind of thing. So the idea that social media, social networking could help really worried quite a lot of them. There were big worries about compliance. There still are in many cases. But I kind of enjoyed pushing financial advisors to kind of open minds to thinking about, what they could do, other ways, new ways to promote their business. So I'd been aware that Twitter was kind of coming up on the rails, and I remember talking to this audience saying, hey, you guys want to watch out for this thing called Twitter. It's going to be big. And I remember watching almost with one movement, every advisor in the audience crossed their arms and went, no, it's not going to happen. And yet here we are today. Sure, Twitter's changed, but it is right at the heart of how many people keep up to date on what's going on in the world. Journalists use it, and there's a growing community of financial advisors who use Twitter in a variety of different ways. Some are using it to attract clients, and very successfully, but most use it as a kind of community thing. But I do liken the arrival of TikTok to the arrival of Twitter back in the days, and I said I know advisors are rolling their eyes thinking, no, this isn't for me. But for those of them are still on this call, first of all, just give us a bit of background, Michelle. Tell us about yourself, where you came from, your career, and how you came to be doing what you're doing today.
Okay, so yeah, I wasn't actually a financial planner. So in my previous firm, it was my dad's firm, based in Ringwood in Hampshire. It was me, him running the business, and then we had advisors and admin staff as well. I actually ended up being a compliance officer, funnily enough, towards the end of my career. And so I was in that role for, I think, 17 years total. So I got my level 4 diploma. I know the profession inside out. And then it was a coincidence, in fact, a couple of years ago, in fact, almost 2 years to the day, I started, I just thought to myself, it would be quite nice to just earn a little bit of extra money on the side. I'll just investigate some online side hustles, that sort of thing. And someone advised me, get on TikTok, whatever you're doing, get on TikTok and just talk about it. Just talk about it.
Yeah.
And I went, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
So I did. I got on TikTok, and I was awful at the start, absolutely terrible, and then gradually built up this following of people who were interested in the things I was talking about. And eventually, I set up a business and was able to use TikTok to get people through to that business and get customers and I was very successful at it. At about a year or so into that, things started changing in the company I was working for. So it ended up, my job essentially disappeared.
Okay.
And I had two choices. I could either go and be a financial planner, properly train up and do that. And then in my head, I was thinking, I know how to get customers because I can just use the same type of using the social media and that sort of thing. I could use that to get customers for this particular role.
Yeah.
Or I could do this, which I'm doing now, which is essentially, I help business owners, small business owners in particular, preferably service-based ones, because that's where my knowledge, my expertise lies, how to use social media with an emphasis on TikTok, how to use it to get more customers, essentially. So you're not chasing the customers, they are chasing you.
That's interesting. So we better just sort of rewind a little bit here. We're talking about
I've
TikTok.
zoomed on, yeah.
Let's just examine what is TikTok. For those that have heard about it, have been told it's a bad thing, think their kids are on it, know their kids are on it. What is it? How does it work? Just give us what we need to know.
Okay, so essentially it's short form video. So in general, very short video clips of people doing different things. So it could be entertaining, it could be educating, it could be, just talking about their lives. It's lots and lots and lots of different things. When TikTok first came out, it did used to be mostly teenagers doing dances.
Yeah, my daughter used to send me a lot of pictures, videos of cats falling off bookshelves.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of crazy things, and there are, cat videos, dog videos, your normal kind of things that you find all over the place. But what it started to become over the last 2 or 3 years, probably since the pandemic, was people started to become more authentic on there, more vulnerable, a little bit more just human beings. So I liken TikTok to being the complete opposite of Instagram. So Instagram is about picture perfect. Everything is just so, regardless of what the realities are. TikTok, the less perfect you can be, the better you do on it.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so but it's short form video. So it's generally, I mean, you can do up to 10 minutes, but most people do between 7 seconds and maybe a 3-minute video on there. So it's very short form video.
Okay, so we've got to then primarily for entertainment initially, but it's becoming more and more used in business, and you see it advertised a lot on the TV. So straight to the question, how do you see financial advisors then getting involved in this? With in mind that a lot of financial advisors who are attracted to doing their marketing themselves or working with an agency, time is short, maybe budget is short. They are not marketers by definition or practice. How could you see advisors getting going with this?
Well, the beauty of TikTok is it's about being yourself and showing your true personality. So yes, you can go on there and talk about things that are, I don't know, perceived as boring, I suppose. But you can spice it up a bit. There's different ways in which you can go, well, let's make this interesting. The trick with TikTok is to hook people in the first 2 or 3 seconds. Okay, so it's like a headline. You want people to read more things. You want people to watch to the end of the video. So what you have to do is in that first 3 seconds is say something that's going to make someone want to watch to the very end of that video. And that's usually what benefit they're going to get if they watch to the end of the video. What's the great thing that they're going to get out of this? You can make things entertaining, and even things that are perceived as boring, you can turn it around. In terms of the time thing you were saying, I would say there is a time, you have to put aside some time to learn it. Like any new platform, like any new thing, there is a bedding in period.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say you can do it in 10 minutes a day.
Sure.
To begin with, you have to learn it. But once you've learned it, I mean, I can do a video, I can record it, edit it, and upload it within 10 minutes. One video.
Okay.
But I've been doing it for 2 years. So,
Yeah.
you know, my first video, I can promise you, didn't do anything. You know,
Sure.
it took me probably a couple of hours to get my head around what I was doing. And but that's where I come in. I can help people with that side of things. But yeah, in general, for financial advisors. So like I said, I was wanting to do this for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, I had a ton of ideas, none of which, of course, I can remember right this second, but a ton of ideas for things I could do, because it's not just about giving your knowledge when it comes to TikTok. It's about making people feel something,
Okay.
or, you know, and it could be entertainment, or it could be, you know, you can talk about your day-to-day life. One of the things that I found on TikTok is, yes, I'm running a business, but here are the things that are going horribly wrong in my business at the moment. I mean, obviously, data protection wise, you don't say names or anything, but oh God, I had this customer today and it went awfully wrong. And here are the things that's happened. And people love to know your disaster of a life.
Stories. Once again, it all comes back to stories, doesn't it?
Yeah, they want to know. So what I say to people is, give it 6 months. So go on TikTok, start just talking about the kinds of things you're doing on that day. So you've got endless content, because you're living your life and people want to know about it. And you know, you're working your work. Tell people honestly what's going on. And what it does is it builds up that trust aspect, that of know, like, and trust. If you're telling people honestly, it's all gone horribly wrong today, they're going to go, well, this person's never going to lie to me. I know I can trust this person completely with my finances. So that was the way I was going to do it, was just go, right, I'm, you know, day one, I'm training to be a financial advisor. Here's how it's going. And I was just going to document my journey, and people will follow. People love to follow a journey. And so you can, you know, you can make that content which people will follow and love.
So it's the authenticity part that is the differentiator when it comes to perhaps financial advisors using it. Because if you
Absolutely.
know, if I'm looking for a financial advisor in Reading or Leeds or London, I'm going to go onto Google or LinkedIn and I'll do my search. And what I'll discover is a bunch of websites that all say the same thing.
Yep.
And the only differentiators will be the pictures of the people and their hobbies outside work. So what you're suggesting is that this sort of video approach can give us a little sneak peek behind the scenes as to what they're really like.
Yeah, and just show, I think that this financial planners, financial advisors have this reputation of being boring, grey, you know, untrustworthy. Let's change it around. Let's make it so that there are genuine, honest people out there showing it, not just the boring old, what's the Bank of England rate doing today?
Yeah.
Tell people day-to-day life what is going on. How have you made a difference in your clients' lives today?
Yeah. I've often thought that financial advice, financial planning, particularly financial planning, is one of those concepts that huge numbers of people need. They've heard of it, but they don't actually know what it is.
Yeah.
And I think as an industry, as a profession, over many, many years, we've made a very poor job of communicating the value that financial planners
100%.
offer. And we talk about the awards, and there's always pictures of couples holding hands on beaches and flying kites with grandchildren and sailing boats and stuff like that. I think a lot of people, they don't really get financial planning until they've experienced it.
Yep.
And there's almost this veneer that a lot of financial planning firms have on the outside. And I guess what you're saying is that by you taking this approach, we can just break that down and see them as real people by people, don't they?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's I know that we want to come across as professional, and you want to come to me because I know what I'm doing. I'm very professional, but it's untrustworthy. That like you say, the veneer, it makes people go, woo, that's not for me. So if you can get on TikTok, the great thing about TikTok is you're in people's homes. It's like being on their telly. It's like being, their favorite actor on the telly. So there is this almost fame, I suppose, in the very minor term of it. This kind of, you're getting into people's heads. They're sitting on the sofa and they're watching you, your face.
Yeah.
And in terms of organic reach as well. I think TikTok beats pretty much every other platform out there, because my worst videos get in front of 200 people. My worst videos, the ones that have done absolutely nothing. And if you think of a room full of 200 people, I mean, that would be an incredible opportunity, wouldn't it?
Yes, I guess. Yeah.
But you can do that 2 or 3 times a day, depending on how often you upload your videos.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. So that answers, because I know there'll be advisors thinking, well, hold on, my clients, they're not on TikTok. I just know that for a fact. But what you're really saying is, I think, as part of their an advisor firm's overall communication package, for want of a better expression, the look behind the scenes of the human stuff is as relevant to one client as it is to another.
Yeah.
Whether that client is retired and in their 70s, 80s, that look behind the scenes is just as valuable as a client who's perhaps much younger.
Well, yeah, I want to just talk about the age thing at the moment, because I had a customer who went on TikTok, and she was 61. Okay. And she said, I'm heading towards retirement, and I want to just have a little bit of extra money to sort of get me through retirement. I don't want to just live off the state pension.
Yeah.
She went on TikTok. She did a video she just literally said that I'm 61 years old, follow my journey as I try and make a bit of extra money towards my retirement. She had more followers and more comments quicker than any other student I've had going through.
Right.
So the demographic on there is not the teenagers anymore. It's not just 20-year-olds. We're looking at 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 plus. And so to say your customer isn't on there is naive.
Yes, that's really interesting. So we've got to get out of our head then this idea that every bit of content has to be funny and that we have to be dancing.
No, I'm boring. I'm boring as hell on there, and I do really well. I've got 74,000 followers, something like that now. If I can do it, honestly, anyone can.
That's interesting. So let's try and find a real scenario. Let's put you back into your office days, in your financial advice firm.
Yeah.
What time is it right now? It's just gone 11 o'clock in the morning. Picture a typical day back in the office.
Yeah.
What do you think you could have done a short video about already today?
All right. So one thing that works really well is a day in the life of. So you could go, right here, come follow me on my journey into work, and here's my day as a whatever you are. So you just do short video clips, and then you can edit them all together quite nicely, and you can do a sort of a 3-minute video, short video clips, literally just showing your day. Now that to you will seem boring as hell, because that's your life, that's your work, you do this day in, day out. To literally everyone else in the world, that's interesting because it's totally different to what they're doing.
Right.
So what I say is, you might think that's not good footage. Those kind of things of a day in the life of, it could be, there are funny videos on there about colleagues who, are best friends, and if one's there, the other one's got to be there making a cup of tea or something like that. So you can add some humor into it. You can actually show, yes, we're financial advisors, but we do have a good sense of humor. So
right.
There's loads and loads of different ways you can show your personality, but make it true, make it authentic to yourself. And that's what comes across. And then what you do is you attract customers who are your kind of people, because they have fallen for you and your video content. Yeah. I think if I was doing one today, I would do here's a day in the life of me. I mean, currently, obviously a very different job, but if I was in my previous job, here's a day in the life of compliance officer in a financial advisors. And then just literally show you the sorts of things you have to do. And obviously you've got to be a bit careful with data protection. You can't show anything client related. But people are interested in that. People want to know what a financial advisor does on a day-to-day basis to help their customers.
So even the mundane stuff, people walking through the office, the post arriving. I mean, it's slightly different kettle of fish, but Casey Neistat on YouTube, one of the world's top YouTubers, almost in most of his videos, and his videos are sort of 9-10 minutes long, so we're not talking TikTok here, although he is now using TikTok. There's one particular moment where he usually bumps into his UPS delivery man,
Right.
Marlon, I think his name is, and there's usually like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So basically what you're saying is the mundane stuff is really what's appealing here. Yeah.
Yeah, but what you could do, so for example, you said about the post has arrived. You could you could put some humor into it and go, right, oh, the post has arrived. Oh, chuck that at the admin person, or, you know, and just put something. And if, you know, I mean, where I used to work, we just laughed and laughed all day long. We loved each other. We just got on so well with each other, to the point that they've now moved to a different firm, and I now work in the same building as them, so I can be near them.
Right.
You know, we loved each other. So show this kind of camaraderie and, you know, the kind of things that are entertaining. And then if it's all gone horribly wrong one day, talk about it as much as you're willing to talk about it, and say, oh my God, what a day, and talk honestly.
Okay, so I'm an advisor, and I'm watching this and I'm thinking, okay, you're making sense, Michelle. I'm starting to get this. What would you recommend that I do? Should I just literally pick my phone up now, get the TikTok app, or should I perhaps do a little planning and brainstorming and thinking? How should I get started?
Okay, so what I recommend is, for the first week, you can get the TikTok app, but you need to train the algorithm. And that's something that I show people how to do, is how to train the algorithm.
We'll talk a little about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's basically showing it that A, you're not a bot, because there are many, many bots on there. And B, that just showing the kind of content you want to be shown, and the kind of content that your ideal customer would be looking for.
Okay.
It's getting you on. There are different sides to TikTok. So if you love dancing teenagers, there's a side to TikTok. I never see that kind of video, because I flick through those if they ever come up.
Okay.
The algorithm knows if you've watched a video for a certain amount of time, it will start showing you more and more of that type of video. So recently there were a load of tornadoes in America.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I find that absolutely fascinating. So that TikTok could see I was watching these videos to the end. At one point I had about 20 videos in a row of tornadoes. It was brilliant. And so they know. Okay. So you're training the algorithm in the first week or so before you even upload a video.
Okay. And other than that, should I be thinking about what videos I might want to do, or literally keep it as random as have my phone ready, something's going on in the office, or should I plan this out in advance?
You can do a bit of both.
Okay.
You can do a bit of both. So you can, I mean, I provide content plans for anyone who comes on board with me on a weekly basis, but you can sit down and work out, say, a weekly series, for example. So you might go, right, this week I want to talk about mortgages, you know, and just go into a bit more depth, because obviously mortgages, you know, a lot of people are struggling at the moment, aren't they, with their repayments and end of deals and that sort of thing. So you might do a sort of a weekly series where you go, right, I'm going to do 5 videos on this, and then maybe the odd 1 or 2 of random things that have happened that I think might be entertaining. So you can still do, you know, very specific content plans, strategies, and also just make sure you've got something. One of the things that worked very, very well for me was having, you mentioned community, Twitter as a community earlier. I set up a Facebook group as a community for my business, and I was able to get people from TikTok, I mean thousands of people from TikTok, into my Facebook group, and you can nurture slightly easier within that than you can. So TikTok is almost a way of building the know and like side of things, and then a community. It doesn't have to be Facebook, it could be as many different apps and things you can get. Like Circle, can't remember what they were called now, but there's loads of different ways you can build a community. And that is a very powerful way of being able to provide a little bit more in terms of value. And it just means that because with this kind of thing, people don't always need you right then and there. Okay, that their mortgage might not be up their mortgage deal might not be up for another 2 years. But
Sure.
when that 2 years is up, there's only one person they're going to, because they've
There's always
seen.
something topical in the financial world, isn't there?
Oh
There?
yeah, there's always
So
something.
those could be content pieces
Yeah,
themselves.
absolutely.
You mentioned it took you no time at all to put something together and edit it. How's the editing? Is that a skill people need to learn, or can we just film something and push it up?
The beauty of filming within TikTok is you don't really massively need to edit anything much. So there's as you record, there's a big red button at the bottom, and it's not like when you record on a phone where when you press stop, it then saves that as a complete video and then you have to start again. That's actually a pause button. So, and you can take out any clips that you don't like. So editing within it is actually, once you've learnt it, very simple. You can just record over and over again and keep only the bits that you want to keep. So it means you can mess up over and over, which I do all the time.
And can you save stuff up before you push it live, or is it literally record and push it live?
No, you can have hundreds of drafts.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah. So what you can do is you can batch create, and then just post.
So
one.
if I was starting out today as an advisor, put a batch together. It's a bit like creating podcasts. It's always a good idea to record several before you actually go live, so you've always got stuff in reserve.
Depends on your personality. So for me, batch creating doesn't work. I have to do it when I feel the inspiration.
Yeah.
But for some people, batch creation is it has. Some people have to do that because they just don't have the time to do it any other way.
Okay. And how often should we be doing this as well?
So I always say, consistency wise, it's not about how often, it's about keeping the consistency within the limits of your time and how you work. So it is better to do 3 videos a week for a year than it is to do 3 videos a day for 2 months, burn out and never want to do it again.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Just briefly go back to the algorithm thing.
Yeah.
You talk about training the algorithm.
Yeah.
So if a financial advice firm is putting content onto TikTok, how are other people going to find that? Do we have to do something to help the algorithm to help them?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, when you do a piece of content, I always recommend there's a captions button and it creates automatic captions. So TikTok reads those. So make sure they're spelt right, because sometimes they're not. You can edit those. You can write text on your videos. TikTok reads that as well.
So it's like keywords are going into the system somewhere.
That's exactly it. So it's being used as a keyword, as a search engine now.
Right.
So it got used more than Google in 2021.
Did it really?
In a search, in terms of how many searches were made.
That's really interesting. Goodness.
Yeah, it's powerful.
That's quite important, actually, isn't it?
Huge. It's huge. And there was another stat I wanted to, which one was it? Yeah, so I'm just looking on my computer. 55% of TikTok users have bought something after seeing that brand on the app.
Right. Wow.
55% of people. So it's almost why wouldn't you? Unless you're so busy you don't need extra customers, in which case absolutely fine. But
well, yeah, that's interesting one. Most advisors tell me that their number one source of leads is referrals and introductions, rightly so.
Yeah.
But lead generation is still the most talked about topic in our Facebook group for financial advisors. So advisors are bringing in new clients through referrals, but the fact that they're still asking questions about lead generation best practice suggests to me they would still like some more of the right sort of clients to come in.
Yeah.
So
and
now,
I think that's the thing with TikTok is, if you set it up the right way, it pushes you to the right people. So as an example, so I've got 2 accounts, and one was one where I've just kind of experimented. I've gone viral lots of times. I've got 70-odd thousand followers, and I've made a few, maybe £2,000 or £3,000 from that particular account. I used that knowledge that I had from getting everything wrong on that one to create another account, and I've made tens of thousands of pounds from an account that has under 3,500 followers on.
Goodness.
So in terms of how many followers it is, it's nothing to do with it. When it comes to business, it's all about the right kind of followers.
So we don't need to be influencers ourselves.
No need.
We can. That's really interesting. I guess could advisors collaborate with other TikTokers? Is that what we call them?
Well, yeah, yeah, probably. So what you could do is you can go live with other people. Once you've got 1,000 followers, you can go live with other people.
Okay.
And you can go live on TikTok and be in front of hundreds of people. So
That's
yes, you
interesting.
can, I would say keep it on niche a little bit. So try
Yeah.
and find someone who's, don't just go for someone who sells plant pots or something. That would
Yeah.
make no sense at all. But someone who maybe shares a client base with you, a
Yeah. Yeah.
similar kind of ideal customer.
Interesting. Maybe local. That's interesting.
And then the other thing about TikTok is you can't specify, some people ask this, you can't specify, I only want people, so I'm in the sort of Bournemouth area. You can't specify, I only want this to go to people in Bournemouth. But what TikTok does is it sees where your SIM card is from and goes, right, UK. So it will push you to the UK. But with the advances of Zoom, like we're on right
Yeah.
now, does it matter, if your customers are in Newcastle, but you're based in Bournemouth?
Yeah. So you can see why straight away, well, you mentioned it knows where your SIM card is.
Yes.
I guess we ought to just touch on that aspect of it, because we're seeing TikTok being banned here, there. It raises questions,
Yep.
given its Chinese ownership. And I know that some advisors will be concerned about compliance aspects, privacy, data protection. Got any kind of thoughts on that as to
Okay.
what they should be concerned about?
I mean, you shouldn't be putting anything on there that might be anything to do with data protection or against compliance anyway.
Yeah.
I would always recommend any kind of financial advisor or anyone in the financial planning industry talk to their compliance department before they even start this,
Right.
and
Yep.
see where they stand.
Yes. Yeah.
Because different compliance departments are going to have different rules.
Yeah.
So they need to know where they stand with it. Obviously, nothing personal can go out anyway,
Sure.
and you can't give advice.
Yep.
I mean, you're just not allowed to give advice on something like that. But that doesn't mean you can't do plenty of other things and give information,
Exactly.
give facts, that sort of thing. In terms of the Chinese government and what they're doing, who knows? So
Who knows? Yeah.
I suspect they're not looking at people like you and me. If they are looking at phones, I
Yeah.
suspect they are looking at government type phones, if they are looking at anything at all. And I don't think they should have it on their government phones.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think anyone in the world should have apps like this. And I'm not just talking TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, all of them. They're all trying to get your data.
Well, yeah.
It shouldn't
People.
be on a government phone anyway.
Yeah. It's interesting. People look at, say, LinkedIn and say, well, that's professional, and so on. And indeed it is. And then people kind of need reminding that Microsoft own LinkedIn, and Microsoft has just invested billions in AI technology as well. And a lot of people get really surprised when they I saw it happen with my daughter. She was typing out her CV into Microsoft Word, and a little message flashes up, said, oh, we'll see you're creating a CV. Why don't you create an account on LinkedIn? And which is fairly harmless stuff, but there is a lot of cross-pollination of all these kind of things, which
100%.
some people are going to be very alarmed by us. I think for most people, most financial advisors, in my experience, yes, they're going to be cautious about data protection. And I've not seen any advisors, to be quite honest, breaking those three golden rules. Don't give financial advice. Don't do financial promotions. Don't bring your business into disrepute. I don't see that happening on social media,
No.
which for the most part means if providing a sensible and professional, you should be able to do most things. But I couldn't agree more with you about, before you do anything at all, sit down with the compliance people, because compliance people don't like surprises, and they don't like the surprises when they're too late either. And so this is what we want to do, and this is why we want to do it, and ideally maybe get some best practice as to what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And but very possibly it might be the first time they've heard of it, and they're gonna have to go away and think about it a bit, because it's not always, it's a brand new medium, really.
Yeah. I know a couple of large financial advice firms that don't allow their advisors to even tweet about the football on a Saturday afternoon without a tweet having to go through compliance. They don't even talk about what they do for a living. They just talk about football or fishing or their family, and each tweet still has to go through, which is quite bizarre in this day and age.
That's wow. Okay.
So good point then about you don't have to have a massive following, but if your content is appropriate to your market, that's potentially even better. So do hashtags have a part to play in this? We see hashtags being used now quite a lot on LinkedIn, quite a big deal. Twitter, obviously, they're right at the heart of Twitter. Instagram, it's all about the hashtags. Is it a thing on TikTok as well?
TikTok have actually released something recently that said if you do more than 3 or 4 hashtags, they actually see it as a bit spammy.
Yep, fair enough.
So they are a lot less on the hashtags and more about the keywords. So within TikTok, a bit like with Instagram, you've got an area where you can write a description. It's something like 2,200 characters.
Right.
So if you're going to put your effort into anything, write your description rather than write hashtags.
Okay. So, and also, can you take your TikTok videos and post them on your website? Is that possible to do anything like that?
Yeah. So what you can do, you can download them. There are websites out there where you can take the watermark off.
Right.
You can repurpose them to Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts, Pinterest ideas. There's loads of different places you can repurpose. And yes, you can put them on your website. You can also, if you're on YouTube, you can take a YouTube video that you've already created, and there's software out there where you can make it the right format, you know, the 16:9 or whatever it is, and you can take clips of it and put that on TikTok. Also, things like podcasts, very, very popular on there. So, you know, if you wanted to get on TikTok, Phil, we could, you know, you could take a clip from this and we could put it on, and it would be content for you, content for me. And, you know, you can create, you don't have to create from scratch every single time.
That's interesting. So are YouTube Shorts kind of similar to TikTok? Is there a...
Obviously, the algorithm's very different. So when I've put something on YouTube Shorts, one might do brilliantly on one platform and one horrifically on the other, or vice versa.
Right.
But yeah, it's absolutely, so long as you're sticking on niche to whatever your YouTube channel is about, it's a really good way of getting new people in.
Okay, so what I'm thinking then, the thing that's coming loud and clear, really importantly for me, is the advisors that are thinking TikTok's not for me because my clients aren't on it. And the point to get across there is it actually is relevant to them because the content you're putting on is really the kind of behind the scenes to your business, which they want to see as well. And they can consume that content then either through TikTok if they happen to be on it, and I'm sure there's some stats around the demographics on there as well.
Definitely rising. The age range is rising.
Right.
I mean,
daily. But they can still consume the video content you've created on TikTok. They can consume it in a whole bunch of other places as well.
Yeah, you can. You can put it all over the place. And I mean, it's time consuming. So when you're repurposing, there are third-party softwares that will repurpose for you. Those videos, I've done it both ways. Those videos do not do as well.
Okay.
So it knows. So if you repurpose to Instagram Reels, Instagram somehow knows that you've done it through a third party and not done it yourself, and it will limit the amount of views you will get. Right. So you might need to, you know, an administrator or someone to do that for you, because that's a very time consuming thing. It's downloading it, putting it all different places, you know, making sure the description is right and all that stuff.
Right. Any kind of mistakes to avoid? If I'm a financial advisor and I'm getting into TikTok, what sort of mistakes should I be conscious that I might make in the early days?
Don't just talk for the sake of talking. And I speak from experience here, having met many financial planners. Don't just talk. Have something in mind that person can get out of that video.
Right.
So yes, okay, something might be happening in the world of mortgages or whatever, pensions. Have, in the first 2 or 3 seconds, tell people what they're going to get out of that video by the end of it.
Okay.
Don't just go in and go, oh, and never start your video with, hi, my name's Michelle, I do this. Boring as hell, people will scroll.
Yeah.
So They don't care who you are. In the nicest possible way, they don't care about you in the slightest. They care about what they can get out of you.
Yep.
Whether that be entertainment, knowledge, someone who can solve their problems. You know,
Expertise,
they only,
credibility, all that stuff. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So just make sure that at the beginning of your video, you don't do that whole introduction thing.
Sure.
No one cares.
No.
So
Okay.
you start with, I'm going to show you how you can save £500 a month on your mortgage by the end of this video. That will get people watching to the end. I mean, that's possibly not entirely true, but if you can start a hook like that, people will watch to the end. So that's the mistake a lot of new businesses make when they go on TikTok. They just waffle about nothing.
Okay.
It's about keeping everything succinct, know what you want to say, have your bullet points. You can stop and start, like I said, when you record in the app, and just keep it, no gaps, no pauses, no ums, no ahs, just straight to the point. Keep going until you get to the end.
Yeah. Really interesting. So what would you say to this? This has been really useful. What would you say to the advisors then who are watching this and thinking, okay, I've heard some few things I've not heard before about this. This makes sense. I think I'm going to get started. What advice would you give to them? They want to get started, and then maybe they want to get started today.
Obviously, I can help out. I've got a little membership, which is only £7 a month. Fantastic. So people can come and join that. And but in general, so as much as I say, get on there, train the algorithm, do this, do that. Yes, do all those things if you can, but doing something is better than nothing. Yep. So if you want to start today, you can't be bothered with all that stuff. You don't want to hear the way I've done it and how I can help. That's absolutely fine. Just get on there and start filming videos. And it doesn't matter if they're terrible to begin with, because what happens is you learn what TikTok wants. Yeah. You watch other people's content and you go, oh, that's how I meant to do it. And then you start honing your own skills. So just use the app, find content that entertains you and go, oh, how can I use this in my own niche?
I guess we're only limited by our own imaginations as to
100%. You can look at someone else's video and it can be about a cat jumping off a roof or something. And you can go, oh, I've just thought of something that would be a really good video. It's just inspiration. But just don't not do it, because if you don't do it, if you think to yourself, oh, okay, she said it's going to take 6 months for me to get anything out of it. Well, in 6 months' time or a year's time, if you haven't done anything, where are you? You're in exactly the same place. Yeah. If you have done it, think where you could be. Yeah.
And you've said you're making money out of this, and you've done so pretty quickly, almost from a standing start. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So like I said, it took me 6 months before I made any money out of it at all. Yeah. And then it snowballed.
Fantastic. So other than the obvious, money and clients, what other kind of metrics could an advisor be looking for when they're starting their TikTok journey?
What are they after? I mean, gosh. So in terms of, do you know what? One of the good things about TikTok is it can be quite therapeutic.
Right.
In a very weird way. So I lost a parent recently. And I went on TikTok and started talking about that, not in a boo-hoo, I've lost my parent way, but in a very practical, I had no idea what to do practically. Right. Yeah. So I went on and started talking about, here's exactly the process that I have gone through. Here's what they did, and here's the paperwork I needed. And so I made it into a practical series that genuinely helped many, many people. And I think one of the best things about TikTok, yes, you're going to get your trolls. You will get your trolls. Everyone gets them. Yeah, yeah. Do a video reply to them. They hate that. They don't like being stood up to very much. But what I got out of that was people coming to me and going, I needed to hear this right now. Yeah. So you get a genuine sense of, I don't know what the word is, just love from it, or it's really very interesting. And
that is interesting, because I always think one of the challenges a lot of people face when it comes to social media generally is where do I get the content? And I think what you're saying is the content can come from anywhere.
100%. If you're running a business or you're in a business, or you have a life in any way, shape, or form, you have content.
I had I did a series on how to put a webinar together for financial advisors.
Yeah.
And one of the most common questions was, well, is a webinar just an online version of a seminar? Well, it can be, but if you can do it on a regular basis, like you're suggesting with TikTok, and then so advisors were saying to me, yeah, well, I don't know where I'm going to get the content from. And then I came across one advisor in Manchester who literally every single Monday morning, he would do a webinar where all he did was review the personal finance pages of the weekend press.
Right.
And he'd pick something from the Saturday Telegraph, a couple of things from the Sunday Times. He would literally tear them out of the newspaper in front of the camera, which was visually and audibly a good thing. And he would go, so good, great article about equity release in the Saturday Telegraph. They made this point, they made this point, they made this point, but they missed this point. And my view is X, Y, Z. And I guess you could take that kind of approach on TikTok as well.
Yeah, don't just read from a paper though.
No. Fantastic.
But there are, you can take inspiration from many.
That's what I mean.
Places.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Michelle, it's been absolutely fantastic. I think it's opened a few people's eyes, certainly opened mine. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Tell us a bit more about your membership that you've got.
Okay, so it's called Biz Talk Academy, and it's essentially helping small business owners. Like I say, my expertise is in service-based, so just getting them started. Like it's got a course online, it's got a my Facebook group, where I there's the community in there. I go live quite often and answer questions, that sort of thing, and it's £7 a month.
No-brainer to me.
It is a no-brainer if you're even slightly interested in my opinion. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I always ask at the end of these if you've got any current recommendations for either an app or a book or both that you think our audience of advisors ought to know about.
Well, I feel like most might have read this, but as a book, I love Dan Kennedy books because they're very, very easy to read. So he's got a no BS time management book, which I really struggle with time management, especially being my own boss. So that for me is something that that has really helped me put things into place that help me a little bit more with my time management, because just running your own firm is quite hard work, as I found out.
Absolutely.
And in terms of an app, I was sort of, when you said, oh, we need an app, I was looking through my phone, and actually for any kind of content creation, short form video, for like reels, anything like that, there's an app called CapCut, and it's for free. You can literally edit your short form video. So if you filmed on your phone, rather than on, say, the TikTok app, you can just put these things together, and it's got so many templates, captions. It's so easy and intuitive. I'm a technophobe. I hate tech. But for me, it's really intuitive to use, and it's completely free. There are some upsells, but you just don't need them in most cases. So it's CapCut, CapCut is
lovely. We'll put that in
choice
in the notes. That's brilliant. Michelle, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely fantastic. Great insights. Fantastic to see you really, I sense you're really enjoying it as much as anything else.
I love it. I love it. And I love helping other people achieve things as well. For me, when someone comes to me and says, oh, I've got this extra customer from TikTok, I'm like, yes, that's the best bit.
That's what it's all about. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for listening and watching today. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot.